Here at the National Cancer Institute in Bethesda, Maryland, Tina McDaniel is waiting for a miracle. The 17-year-old high school senior has been living with a deadly form of cancer called melanoma. Melanoma is a skin cancer often, but not always, caused by exposure to ultraviolet radiation from the sun. Humans have a defense against the harmful effects of sunlight. A chemical pigment called melanin absorbs ultraviolet radiation and keeps it from damaging the body's tissues. These are melanin-producing cells. These cells lie just under the top layer of your skin, but it is likely that these cells are different from yours. Exposure to ultraviolet radiation over time has changed the way these cells usually behave. Instead of growing, reproducing, and resting afterwards like most cells, these cells continue to grow and reproduce without a rest period. The result is a mass of abnormal cells called a tumor, which may interfere with the functions of other cells around it. These cancerous cells can also spread throughout the body. That's what's happening to Tina. But there is hope. Dr. Steven Rosenberg of the National Cancer Institute is Tina's physician. The challenge for him and other physicians is to stop the uncontrolled growth of cancer cells. Dr. Rosenberg is working on an experimental new treatment that uses the body's natural immune response to fight the melanoma. The treatment has given many of Dr. Rosenberg's patients a chance to overcome the disease. It may do the same for Tina. What do doctors believe is the primary cause of melanoma? As you watch this segment, think about how normal cells grow and divide and how cancer cells behave. Cancer is the general name for a disease characterized by the abnormal and uncontrolled growth of cells. Often, cancer cells accumulate in one area of the body and form a growth called a tumor, like some of the dark spots on this woman's skin. Normally, cells go through a period of growth and division called the cell cycle, which is divided into 3 stages: interphase, mitosis, and cytokinesis. During interphase, the cell grows to twice its normal size and copies of the cell organelles are made. Also during interphase, the cell makes copies of its DNA through a process called DNA replication. As a result of replication, each new daughter cell will contain an exact copy of the genetic information from the parent cell. The second stage of the cell cycle is mitosis. During mitosis, a copy of replicated DNA is distributed to the daughter cells, and a new nuclear membrane forms around each region containing DNA. Cytokinesis is the final stage of the cell cycle. During cytokinesis, the cell membrane pinches off, forming 2 new cells. Each new cell contains half of the cytoplasm, roughly half of the duplicated organelles, and an exact copy of the parent cell's DNA in each nucleus. Doctors in hospitals around the world are studying the differences between normal cells and cancer cells. One way that they do this is by examining human skin. Using a scalpel, doctors can scrape skin cells off pieces of skin and into a solution that will preserve them. These cells can be seen under a microscope that makes them look 300 times larger than they really are. On the left side, you can see time-lapse photography of healthy skin cells growing normally. On the right side, you can see cancer cells. The normal cells on the left will ultimately stop dividing. The cancer cells on the right will not stop dividing. As cancer tissues grow and tumors form, they prevent nutrients from getting to healthy cells, which damages and kills the healthy cells. Cancer cells can also travel to other parts of the body through the bloodstream or the lymphatic system. As the abnormal cells travel through the body, they can become lodged in many of the body's tissues where they continue their abnormal growth, and thus spread the disease throughout the body. Though research continues, scientists are not certain what causes cancer cells to grow uncontrollably. Doctors have used surgery, chemotherapy drugs, and radiation treatments to fight cancer. But today, scientists on the front lines of cancer research are exploring various ways of treating cancer. including the possibility of using the body's natural defenses to rid the body of abnormal cells.
And when we use surgery or radiation therapy or chemotherapy, we're destroying normal cells as well as cancer cells because they can't distinguish between the two. But the immune system can. It can distinguish a single molecule that's different on a cancer cell than a normal cell.
Using an experimental new cancer vaccine made from the amino acids found on a cancer cell's surface and a hormone called interleukin-2, Dr. Rosenberg has been able to destroy cancer cells in melanoma. The treatment is simple. First, the patient receives an injection of the vaccine. The vaccine enables a specialized white blood cell to identify the cancer cells and attack them.
These are the immune white blood cells, the lymphocytes, that we're trying to activate by our vaccines. And as you can see in these remarkable images that are actually taking place in culture, the lymphocytes attacking the tumor. And as it attacks and attaches to the tumor, we see these projections in the tumor cell which indicate that it's being destroyed, its membrane is being dissolved.
Dr. Rosenberg's new treatment has given hope to many people suffering from melanoma. Some scientists hope that his technique may work in the fight against other forms of cancer. Scientific breakthroughs don't happen every day, but each new treatment gives both doctors and patients faith that one day we will beat cancer for good. How does normal cell growth differ from cancerous cell growth?